Ahora, vale, ahora sí. Vale, ahora sí se me escucha. Vale. Hola chicos y bienvenidos a un nuevo vídeo. Bueno, directo. Y bueno, estamos en un nuevo juego. Este juego, buah, es increíble uno como todos, pero os presento Stanley Parable. Hola Sonic 2050. ¿Qué tal? ¿Bien? Disfruta del directo. Así que estamos en un nuevo juego y bueno, no he empezado, o sea, esto es lo primero que me ha salido, no he hecho nada más. Así que bueno, please choose a screen, bueno, elige los subtítulos y en pantalla, el idioma en pantalla, español, obviamente. Y vale, no subtítulos, sí, ¿no? Sí, quiero subtítulos. Elige un idioma para los subtítulos y el texto. Sí, vale. Confirmar. ¿Jugaste a Stanley Parable alguna vez? No, pero he visto vídeos. Pero no me he spoileado tanto. Ajusta la barra deslizante hasta que la computadora sea apenas visible. Así está bien. Se me escucha bien y todo, ¿no? Porque estos cascos no van muy bien y no sé si se me está escuchando bien. Vale, confirma. Introduce la hora actual para qué. Pues espérate que lo miro. Y de paso voy a mirar si se me escucha. A ver. Sí, se me escucha. Vale. Eh, son 10 vale. Sí, se me escucha. Gracias, Sonic. Em, son 18 bueno, las 6. 18. Ah, que va hasta aquí. Vale, pues las 6. Es que podrían ser las 6 de la mañana. Ah, mira, pone AM. No, tiene que ser PM. Ay, PM. No, PM. Sí, es PM. Y 45. Vale, ya está. 45. No, no, no. ¿Cómo? Ah, ahí. Vale. Nota, puedes acceder a la configuración de accesibilidad desde el menú principal. Aceptar. Joder, me van a petar ahí notificaciones. Está jugando a Stanley. Ahí, vale. Configuración, que esté todo bien. Campo de emisión, sensibilidad. Me encanta que pequeño se ve todo lo que estoy haciendo. ¿Qué es lo que está todo bien? A ver, de sonido. Trabajamos un pelín por si acaso. Vale. Iniciar partida. The end is never the end is never the end is.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day, every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Se levantó de la silla y salió de la oficina, por cierto, porque pudo traspasar la silla. Se ve bien, ¿no? Todo. Se ve todo bien. Vale, a ver los controles. Vale. La X para interactuar. Trofeo ganado, no puedes saltar. Trofeo ganado, consigue tu primer trofeo. En serio. En serio hay un trofeo de conseguir un trofeo. Madre mía, y encima los dos son dorados. Buah, me va a encantar este juego. Nada, me lo voy a pasar al 100%, ¿eh? Como todo. Bueno, vamos allá. A ver, soy un poquito bajito, ¿no? O todo es muy alto.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Vale, os explico también. El narrador, es que es buenísimo el narrador, de verdad. Y puedes o seguir sus indicaciones o no hacerlo. Y depende de lo que hagas, sacas un final o otro. Hay como 20 finales, creo, 16. Y está bastante bien, os lo recomiendo bastante este juego. Que es una obra maestra. Esto no se abre. No puedo correr, creo. No. Voy a revisar que...
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Narra todo lo que haces. Vale.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Vale, me dice que cruce la izquierda. Y vamos... Venga, vamos a cruzar la izquierda. En esta vamos a hacerle caso. Mira, la sala de reuniones.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Mucho porcentaje. Bueno, rooms close. Rooms close. Rooms closet. Vale. Close.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
¿Y si no doy la vuelta, qué?
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Voy a intentar estar más rato aquí a ver qué pasa.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Por favor, que esto sea un final, que te mueres aquí dentro de no hacer nada.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused. You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it. Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friend, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
Pues sí, voy a ver.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
No. No, tío.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed in front of your screen. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Creo que ya no va a decir nada más. No, no dice nada más. No.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before
Se piensa que es un segundo jugador.
You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Seguro que es un final esto. No es un final. Solo habla y ya está. No. Y si retrocedo. No puedo. Venga, vamos a continuar.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Vale, que subimos. Subimos. Executive Vacuum. ¿Pero qué? Dinero en la mañana, dinero en la mañana, o sea, evening, ahora no me sale la palabra. Dinero en el desayuno, dinero, crisp, no sé qué es. Crisp, no sé. Pero sí, por donde he venido. Y ahí está la oficina del jefe.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
284, vale. Y el último número no. ¿Cómo estuviste cuando España fue eliminada al mundial?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
No lo vi, pero joder. Ojalá hubiese ganado.
2845.
Solo estoy jodiendo al narrador. Es que, no sé, quiero tocar el piano. Sí, lo sé que fue eliminado.
But it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Ya Argentina ganó. Y Messi se jubila ya.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
No.
Whoops, nope. Never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question.
Es que verás que se ha cambiado algo y no es la oficina del jefe ahora, no sé, es un paisaje. Ah, pues sí, es lo mismo. No, ya no puedo bajar. Lo he hecho sin querer, es que le había dado sin querer, pensaba que no se le podía dar. Joder. Y pues nada, ya no podemos seguir las instrucciones. Y yo que quería ser ejemplar, bueno...
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
Sí, ¿qué quiere que haga ahora si no puedo volver? A ver. Ah, mira, ya puedo volver.
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this? Surely this time Stanley will walk forward into the spooky corridor, won't he?
Sí.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape. Nah, me iré por aquí. Por ahora. ¿Pero qué? Botón.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
You up?
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ay. No, esa no era. Bueno.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life, for he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ala, apagó.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Venga, déjame pasar.
Stanley felt
Ay,
the cool breeze upon
vamos.
his skin, the
Primer
feeling of
final.
liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Ah, mis ojos. Trofeo ganado. Termina el juego en 25 minutos. Eh, Me he pasado el juego en 25 minutos. Vamos. Aunque bueno, todavía quedan unos cuantos finales. Bastantes. Y como llevo 26 minutos, pues vamos a seguir. Vale, ahora no me escucharéis, que voy a ver el trofeo. A ver. A ver. Aquí. Trofeo ganado, termina el juego. Completa Stanley Parable. Test Trophy Description, Replace this. Sale del juego y vuelve a empezarlo. Sale del juego y vuelve a empezarlo. Que oye, hay un trofeo que se llama un montón de ochos y luego un montón de ochos. Madre mía. Ah, mira, le puedo empezar de cero. Vale, vale. A ver,
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
esto es lo mismo.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Bueno, vamos a ir directamente.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Y luego también iremos por la derecha y por más.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Esto me trae recuerdos.
Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
A ver, si toco mucho no va a decir nada. No. No dice nada.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Subí hacia la oficina. Nah. Soy disléxico. Que para mí esto es bueno.
But Stanley just couldn't do it.
No podía
He
hacerlo.
considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
No, no estás bien. Sigues aquí. No has avanzado nada.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I'm real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
No.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
¿Pero qué tenía que ver?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body, and then she turned and ran.
¿Final? ¿Eso ha sido un final? A ver, hemos muerto, o sea, creo que sí. Sí, la un final, creo. Eso no estaba antes, ¿no? Sí.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Sigue todo cerrado.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Pues no, voy a ir por la
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Sí, voy a admirar la sala de empleados.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
¿Otra nota?
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room.
No,
A
me voy a
room
quedar
so
tanto
utterly
tiempo como
captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
La primera puerta de la izquierda.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't
Sí,
5
es muy
years
malo para
ago.
reivindicación. Es que me encanta el narrador, de verdad. Una tarjeta. Necesito una tarjeta. No saltes del cargo cuando está en movimiento. Te puede causar la muerte. Penalización por misuse, no sé qué es. Abandonar el cargo, o sea, bueno, abandonar esto, 1000 euros. En serio, tienes que pagar 5000 euros de multa si saltas del cargo.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Ahora, eso no sé si era un final o qué era. Ahora tengo que pagar 5000 euros de multa. Y otra vez.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No. Otro día.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago.
¿Y eso? Ahí hay una entrada. Más tarde. Que hay muchas cosas.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Eh. Como que no me convence mucho entrar a esta sala, ¿no?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Vale, luego volvemos aquí, no cojo el teléfono. Pero ahora lo voy a coger. ¡Ah, mis ojos otra vez! ¡Ah! Me van a petar. Perdón, llegué tarde.
Oh,
Hola,
Stanley, is that you?
Eh.
Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go.
Nah, no pasa
All right,
nada.
now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Y era el narrador.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
A ver, le bajo esto.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Vale. Y gracias por avisarme. Buen día, empleado 427. Oprime en la X en tu mando.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
No quiero pulsar la X. Tío, me obliga a pulsar la X.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Televisión, ¿acaso hay así?
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
¿Qué pinta esto? Para pasar tiempo con los chicos.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
¿Podría jugar a Among Us? Sí, me lo tendría que volver a instalar, pero sí. A ver, oprime X para preparar la zona.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Contarles una historia a tus hijos. ¿Qué hijos? Pero si aquí no hay nadie.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
para decirle a tu... Pero si es un maniquí.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
A dormir, sí. Y...
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Abrime para estar en el trabajo por la mañana. Vale, a ver, me ha dicho que no pulse el botón. Pues vale, pues no lo pulso. A ver cuánto tiempo tiene. Y por aquí no hay nada. Aparte dice de estar en el trabajo. Vale, pues no lo pulso ya. Me cambié el nombre. Ah, hola Germán André. Germán André para cable. Hombre, ¿qué tal? ¿Cuánto tiempo? Aquí estamos en un directo de Stanley para ver. Juegazo, la verdad. Madre mía. Cuando esté el directo resubido te recomendaría ver el principio porque está bastante gracioso. Y ahora estoy aquí que... Mira, voy a pulsar el botón.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
En serio, oprime flecha para...
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must.
Me está dando
Perhaps,
claustrofobia estar
maybe
aquí
this time
tan,
you'll see.
tan tiempo encerrado.
Maybe this time. And I tried again.
Muere,
And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Pero si no he hecho nada así. Esto no es igual. Esto antes no era así, Y sigo pudiendo atravesar la silla. ¿Y qué pone en la taza? I hate Mondays. Y yo también.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Vale. La izquierda. Pues no, ahora voy a entrar por la derecha.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
No.
The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Vale, ahora voy a ir por aquí.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
No, voy a subir. Cablix, dime.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's,
Nunca
left.
vendí el juego que dije. Ah, al final no lo vendiste. ¿Por qué? O sea, no fue bien para venderlo. ¿No fue bien o qué pasó? Por la izquierda.
Oh, no. No, it's to the right, my mistake.
Bueno, pues por la
No,
derecha.
not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Por aquí. Solo tengo un amigo con Play 3 y no creo que me lo compre. A ver si... Es que claro, te haría un favor de que si yo tuviera la Play 3, pues igual te lo compraría, pero no tengo la Play 3. Pues espero que al final te lo compre. Que vaya muy bien. Espero que te lo compre. Y si no, pues no sé, venderlo por alguna página de vender cosas. Aquí otra vez.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay.
Vale,
We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track,
No es tan
Okay,
bueno.
from the top.
Es raro. ¿El qué? El qué no es tan bueno, es raro. Y otra vez aquí. No acostumbro al juego. Ah.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
El juego que compré. Sí. Pues no te dejan devolverlo. Bueno, ya te lo pregunté, creo. Me dijiste que no. Ah, ya sé que a qué juegas. Tú también lo conoces. Pues es que me encanta este juego. Me lo acabo de comprar, o sea, en 52 minutos hemos hecho 2 finales ya. Voy a apagar todos los ordenadores. Ah, están para algo así. Están para algo así. ¿Y qué?
When Stanley...
¿Pero qué?
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted
¿Pero
the
qué?
game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
No.
Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then.
Ah, sí.
It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Mola un montón. Vale, me ha dicho que elija el que yo quiera, o bueno, que encontremos la historia. Pues a ver, por aquí. Por aquí. Pero qué. Y por aquí. Por aquí.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Este es el Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, que es para Play, y lo han puesto de rebajas. Vale.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Todos los ordenadores apagados. ¡Eh!
Okay, yep, it's worse.
No
I
hay
might be
nada ahora.
remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Ah, por aquí. Porque hay salas muy raras.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
¿Pero qué?
No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
¿Pero qué? ¿Pero qué? ¿Qué es esto?
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all.
Ni
Is
siquiera
this
el
the
narrador
story?
sabe qué es
I
esto.
don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Otra vez, reiniciar. ¡Eh!
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Pues a ver, mala idea no es. El problema es que me están dando ganas de venir por aquí. Ah, es lo mismo. No hay sala.
No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
Vale, vale. Todos los ordenadores apagados. Y este jugando al póker. Bueno, sí, al póker, al solitario. No lo puedo apagar. Venga, sigamos la línea.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right?
¿Pero qué es esto?
Okay.
Oye,
Now, if my
si no
experience of
camino por
your
la pared.
existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct?
¿Cómo voy a
Whoa.
seguir esto?
Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all
venga.
that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Música.
Right. Cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
¿Por qué quiere que mire este lecho? Como si fuera muy importante. Deberías tener más apoyo. Yo aprecio mucho tu...
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line,
Gracias.
you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story?
Juan.
Is any of this ringing
Hola,
a bell?
Juan. ¿Cuánto tiempo? Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué tal todo? Estoy aquí jugando a un juego rarísimo, pero que está muy guapo. Por cierto, ¿qué ha pasado aquí? Que se ha liado y todo. A ver, narrador. ¿Qué? ¿Otra vez aquí?
No, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after
No puedo
everything
creer
we've been through, you...
te
Oh, I
cambié
can't
la
take
voz.
this anymore. To hell with it.
Pues sí,
Restart.
Bueno, sí, la verdad que sí. ¿Y tú qué tal? ¿Qué tal todo? A ver, la línea.
You know
Por
what,
favor.
Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right?
Yo bien
Why can't we
duro.
make up our
Yo
own
también
story?
bien.
Something
Aquí,
exciting, daring,
probando el
mysterious.
Stanley para ver.
Ooh, this all
Está
sounds perfectly
guapísimo.
doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Dirección nueva.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our
Pero si
story
esto
to
es una
be?
espiral. Si
Go
está dando
wild.
vueltas
Use your
en
imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for
¿Pero
it.
¿Pero qué tenía que ver este camino? Desde hace mucho no te veía.
Oh, no, not you
Ya,
again.
pero qué
Stanley, I'd
pero
also
qué-
like to veto the line from having any role in our
¿Qué ha
awesome
pasado
new
aquí?
story.
Perdón,
No
perdón.
lines or
Pero
monitor
es que
rooms.
la
Just
línea
don't
esta-
acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Yo me he visto ya tus vídeos creo que 4 veces o 5. Venga, se me está parando el directo mucho. Pues a ver si me espero, no sé, a ver si se pone bien. Pero se ve bien y eso, ¿no? Es que igual es del directo. No sé si es de ti o es del directo. Aunque bueno, creo que es normal porque a mí también a veces me pasa.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control.
Ya lo
How
veo bien.
important we mustn't squander the
vale.
opportunity. In fact,
Vale,
I
pues
believe I need a
entonces
minute to
estudio
think
con-
here. Just walk in circles for a minute.
En serio,
Okay,
tengo
so
que
I
caminar
know that
en
each
círculo.
door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where
Debe
we're
ser mi
trying to
internet.
go, there must be a
Sí, creo
reverse
que sí.
door that leads
Pues
here.
espero
And that
que
in turn means that
se
our
arregle,
destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse
estás- o sea,
door's
estás
origin.
muy lejos
So
del de mí,
starting from the
pero-
right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Ah, que esto es un final.
Hold up, what's this?
Espera. Voy por el
The confusion
reinicio.
ending. You're telling me
reinicio.
that's what this is? It's all one giant ending?
Narrador
And we're
se
supposed to
viola.
restart the game, what, eight times?
8 reinicios.
really how all this
Venga. El narrador
all
se va. Y
Determined?
Stanley muere.
So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
¿Qué tal pasó este año nuevo y Navidad? Bien, bastante bien, algunos regalos y con la familia, bastante con la familia. Y frío, bueno, el frío no mucho. ¿Y tú qué tal? ¿Qué tal el año nuevo y la Navidad? Que por cierto, feliz año nuevo a todos también. Otra vez aquí.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
Por favor, que estén las dos puertas. Bien.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
De maravilla. Pues qué bien.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
¡No! Me ha cerrado esto.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Pero si subo va a ser lo mismo, ¿no? Es lo mismo. Bueno, también creo que voy a dejar el directo por aquí. Ya llevamos 1 hora. Esto lo dejo para... No creo que vaya a ser una serie, pero serán directos aleatorios. Y bueno, creo que voy a ir dejando el directo por aquí. Espero que os haya gustado mucho. Vale, ya está. A ver, ya pasaron 2 años desde que conocí este hermoso canal. Gracias. Y sí, la verdad que sí. Eres legítimo del canal. Tú, Juan, llevas desde que empezó este canal. Y sí, ya han pasado 2 años. Y bueno, también me tengo que ir, porque ya son las 8 y me tengo que ir. Y bueno, espero que os haya gustado mucho el directo, que os vaya bien estas navidades y subiré más directos, vídeos y eso. Y bueno, hasta aquí el directo y nos vemos en otro próximamente. Adiós.